Hi, I hope you had a wonderful day. Mac here with Dr. Max Garstyle, and today we're at RHS Wisley for the Fall Flower Show. This is a magnificent botanical garden. It has one of the best flower shows around right here. So I'm going to show you some of the show. I'm going to show you some of this magnificent garden. Let's go explore it all. Let's pick up some great tips for our own garden at home. Let's go have fun. The benefit of this display is that you get to see dahlia in all of its beautiful shapes and forms. Now, I love dahlia because of the symmetry of the blooms. There are a lot of varieties here, and what jumps out to me at most, of course, are the very large dahlia, and that's going to be the cactus dahlia variety. Very large blooms, but also very large plants. Let's continue to look around here because I love these magnificent blooms. Dahlia come in almost infinite size, shapes, and colors, but what's really grabbing my eye are these magnificent dark burgundy dahlia here with these cactus dahlia, which are larger, whites right below them. But look at the dark burgundy, and right beside that you have white with just a hint of burgundy on the tips, and that is a magnificent color combination. If you were to put these two dahlia together, this burgundy and the white, with those both having those pom-pom heads, those will look really good together in a pot or in a bed. Here's a display of dahlia brighten softer gleam. You can see the magnificent orange, that interior which is yellow, and it's an orange color. It has the look of sunrise or sunset, whichever you prefer, and I love that color combination. This is a beautiful multicolored dahlia. And here, if you want something much more vibrant and aggressive, here's Kenora Wildfire. This is a beautiful bloom, cactus style dahlia, but absolutely magnificent, but really, really large and vibrant. So if you want those vibrant colors, this is going to be a very vibrant dahlia to add to any collection. Sir Alf Ramsey is a purple fading up to white cactus dahlia. Again, it's going to be a very large plant, but this head of the flower bloom is magnificent, topping off with that white, kind of a creamy white with a little bit of green hint at the base, but it just drops down to that beautiful lilac color. And this is a wonderful color combination. If you match this up with more whites, which is wet right beside it, you have a more of a white color here. If you put that together, those would go well. And here's Dahlia Lewis White. I love the name, but it doesn't match the color. You can see this is a vibrant yellow, but it's named Lewis White. The color and the name don't match. But if you like that beautiful, summery, light, bright color, this is Lewis White. Aggie White is another color variant, and you can see this is more of a creamy, slightly bronze to yellow golden color. The color is not consistent per bloom, and the bloom petals are folded and frilled, just very vibrant in coloration, but also wild in shape and color and design. So if you want to add something like this to your garden, these cactus blooms for dahlia are large and very, very eye-catching. But if you want a dahlia bloom that's not so large and aggressive, these smaller pom-pom blooms are really magnificent dahlia as well. These grow really well. You can see that the flowers are smaller. The leaves on the plants are very similar. These are still going to be large plants. Dahlia look a little wild until they bloom, but when they bloom, they are absolutely splendiferous. Here we have floral arrangements that you can see. These floral arrangements are predominantly all dahlia. There's a few other plants mixed in with it, but you can see when the base is dahlia, the magnificent bloom and floral arrangements that you can create. I see rose hips in one of these, and so that's a nice combination to add in. Some nice rose hips, because later in the year, this time of year when these dahlias are blooming, most of your roses have already bloomed, so you have the hips available. You can snip off some hips, place them in a pot or in a vase with dahlia, and you'd have a beautiful floral arrangement. I mentioned the endless color variety of dahlia, but I love the dahlia that are this pinkish to bronze color. I love this coloration on dahlia. And you can see you have dahlia here mixed in with a bit of eucalyptus as a floral arrangement. I also see some yucca in there. So that's a great way to put a great arrangement with dahlia. Aspire Glow is a dahlia that is at the back, and it goes from that orange color up to the yellow interior. I love those bicolored flowers, and this one is bicolored in a magnificent pattern. Looks really great together. Less petals than most dahlia, but I do like that, and it will look really great in mass planted in a bed. Now at the back of this display is Dahlia Hillcrest Candy. I love that because it is that purple at the bottom, kind of a purple burgundy color fading up to the white interior. And I love the fact that you have this bicolor with the white tops down to that purple. It looks really great planted in mass. You have to be very considerate of the colors because you have two very strong colors here with the white fading into that lilac purple. But if you plant them in mass, they will look really great together. And if you like dahlia, but you don't want to do a full floral bouquet, you could just pick one of your best blooms and stick it in a vase. You can see here some examples of dahlia in smaller floral bouquets, sometimes just one dahlia in a jar, and that looks really good. If bright, vibrant colors are your thing, then this cactus dahlia with not a lot of petals, but very bright, very vibrant, fuchsia colorations, but really magnificently colored. And here's another example of the dahlia in full plant foliage form. You can see that the plants are large. Some of the cactus dahlia plants are even twice this size. So you have to be thoughtful about how much space the dahlia is going to take up in your garden. But if you have the space and you're willing to dedicate the space to dahlia, you can see these blooms are magnificent for autumn and fall coloration in your garden. Dahlias can't be beat. If you're looking for a year-round foliage, a plant that could deliver color from the spring straight through to the fall, and if you're in the right zone all the way across the year, heuchera is a magnificent plant for that. From chartreuse colors to deep burgundies, this is a magnificent plant to add to any garden. Two of my favorite plants that I enjoy the most as foliage plants, but shade foliage plants, are ferns and hosta. And here you can see hosta St. Paul right next to Christina the King fern, which has a nice frilly pattern on the fern, on the fronds. Heuchera, hosta, ferns, great for shade. This is the time of year that cyclamen shine the most. They're beautiful plants, and I love the coloration. They go from white, reds, burgundies, bicolors, in some cases even tricolors. They're a magnificent plant to add to beds, gardens, pots, but they do tend to prefer to be outdoors. They need a full cycle to go through the year. They can be sold indoors, but they don't thrive and best indoors. They thrive best outdoors. Although the fall isn't typically the best time of year to highlight peonies, it is a wonderful time of year to add peonies to your garden. So if you wanted to add peony, if you want to increase the amount that you already have, this is a great time as we head towards the cooler season to go out and buy a peony, add it to your garden, and in the spring you could have some magnificent blooms. If not this spring, the plants do take a couple years to settle in. By the next year or so, you can have magnificent peony blooms that will continue to bloom for you for many years to come. Here's a Mangave Pineapple Express. I love that speckled pattern on this plant. I would definitely add this to my garden. My wonderful garden collection could definitely thrive with this plant as a part of it. Now these are magnificent lilies, large, full, and vibrant. This is a great time to make a selection. Pick out the varieties that you like here in the autumn-fall period. It's a great time to select the lilies for, say, March delivery. You could also buy some, plant them right now, and they'll be coming up for you in the spring or in the summer. It's a great plant. Of course, you have to be thoughtful and careful of plants and animals that like to dig up lilies. So if you have that problem, then you want to be careful about where you plant them or how you plant them. I usually plant my lilies in pots, and so they do really well in pots. I can keep them up away from the garden bowls and things of that sort. They love to eat on those lilies, especially the Asiatic varieties. Now here's a wonderful selection of asters. You can see you have two different varieties here. Actually, I think, yes, 2 to 3 different varieties. Block bedded, so you have multiple plants side by side to give you a really full look. You can see I see peonies behind them, and then taller varieties, and then shorter plants, but really focusing in on those fall burgundies and purple colors, a bit of lilac. It's a wonderful color combination in this bed. Japanese maples or acers are plants that can produce magnificent color. These trees are beautiful, but they have some very specific growing conditions. You want to make sure you get that right. They don't like to have wet feet. But one thing you definitely want to keep in mind with this plant is that it is very slow growing. These trees are beautiful, but they grow very slowly. So if you add one to your garden, understand it's going to be magnificent. It's going to be colored wonderfully, but it's going to grow very slowly. It is a plant that you dedicate a lot of time and energy into, and it will slowly provide a magnificent tree for you. If you want the larger varieties that will produce, multi-meter tall trees, these are not those. You want to go out and get that for yourself. Those do tend to grow a little faster than these smaller, more specimen varieties. And here's a magnificent selection of alliums. Alliums are great because they add a lot of height to the garden. They send up this tall stalk, and then at the top you have this beautiful globe. And Globe Master is a large allium. Here is Pinball Wizard. There's some other wonderful ones here. Cristobal. They come in purple, lilac, white. Alliums are great additions, and they come back year after year as they are perennials. And here is a great display of clematis. Now, one of my favorite vining plants because clematis blooms prolifically. If you love blooms, then you're going to love clematis. If you love vines, you're definitely going to love clematis. They give you a lot of great blooms, a lot of great color, but they don't get too heavy. Some vining plants can get really, really heavy. Clematis tends to stay smaller vined. The stems don't get as heavy, so you can build a nice trellis or provide a nice trellis, and they'll do really great without weighing everything down. Wisteria is one that gets incredibly heavy. Clematis can stay more manageable. Here's a great selection of dianthus. Now, I always get confused with dianthus and carnations. They're pretty much the same plant. One is a little larger than the other, but here is dianthus. It grows perennial, comes back year after year, and magnificent flowers. It's a plant that you could add to your flower bed and don't pay a lot of attention to, and it will reward you in beauty over and over again. They're not the most long-lived little grassy plants, but when you add them to your garden, they can add a lot of vibrant pops of color. Here you can see these are in the red, pink, and white family. When you're talking garden additions as far as adornments, I love stone sculptures. Way more than garden gnomes, stone sculptures are permanent. They don't rust, they tend to last a lifetime. This one is made of opal. You can imagine that you could put this in your garden today and your grandchildren can appreciate it in their lifetime. Now here is one of my favorite displays, and this is peppers. Peppers, and more peppers. Peppers are so ornamental and they're so beautiful. Of course, you can add a lot of flavor to your garden with the actual fruits, but I actually enjoy the way the plants look. This one is tiny, super tramp, but this purple one here, which is new mix, beautiful coloration, habaneros, cayenne varieties, Carolina Reapers, all magnificent peppers. Gladiolus, I love them. They're magnificent, but at this height, they would have to be staked to make sure that they don't fall over. These were grown indoors under very tight conditions, but if you're planting them outdoors in your garden, get the shorter variety or be prepared to stake. And tucked away down low under the gladiolus is brown sugar. Look at this dahlia, nice bronzy color, bronzy fading into red with this nice dark yellow stamens interior. It's a beautiful little dahlia. Here are two of my favorite plants, geraniums and pelargoniums. And I keep all of mine indoors, but you can plant them outside. Through the summer, they'll go really well and grow. Geraniums will come back year after year. They're perennials. The pelargoniums, I'm not sure they can handle those colder temperatures, but all of mine are indoors and in a pot. This is a magnificent flower show. You can pick up a lot of ideas for your own personal gardens. It's more relaxed than Chelsea, but it's just as informative with the amount of plants that are available to purchase and to see to inform your own garden decisions. But there's more to see. We're not done yet. Let's keep going. Here's a plant I don't see very often in the UK, and this is Rosa Sharon. It's a hibiscus. I love the fact that they clipped it back and placed it amongst this beautiful shrub border. You get these pops of color with different Rosa Sharon. There's one here, and towards the back there's another that is a more darker burgundy, lilac color. Darker burgundy, more burgundy, but then it fades out to more of a lilac color. But I love the fact that they clip this in and place it amongst these other shrub plants. It looks really great with these pops of color amongst all the green. Here's a very formal design, parterres with multiple shapes and sizes and color variety of shrubs. You can see a beautiful barberry. I love the fact that they use shrubs and just shrubs to create color, shape, size, and form. And here is a beautiful plant. I don't see this very often. This is a pomegranate tree with nice, beautiful little pomegranates on it. I don't know if they're edible, but they are very attractive. And it'd be a wonderful tree to add into a magnificent garden. You can see that this one is in a garden. It's tucked away in the corner. It's in a sheltered location, so it may not be as hardy as some of the other plants here. It is in a sheltered location, but this is a magnificent little pomegranate. And here is a magnolia in a tree form, but shaped in a way against the wall in a way I've never seen it before. I've never seen magnolia in this form. I love the fact that they have it shaped here. You can see it's very old, but they're keeping it trained back almost in a bonsai style, larger than a bonsai of course, but they're keeping this trained back and magnificently placed A beautiful magnolia. I don't know what the hell this is. You beat me. You stumped me. I don't know what this is. If you had, I could have just used it as a commercial for a whirlwind. This is a beautiful plant to add to any garden. I love the fact that the blooms, the stems, and blooms and stems stand above the foliage. Plant it right beside some peonies. So if you plant a bed of peony here, a large grouping there, which blooms in the spring, late spring, then here in late fall, you have these anemone blooming, and that's the way you want to plant your borders, where you have plants blooming not all at once, but across the entire growing season. One of my favorite plants, Canna Mango. Now, Canna Mango is not my favorite. I do love this color, but Canna in general is one of my favorite plants. Canna have been bred down from 2-meter tall plants to these smaller varieties. This is about ½ a meter tall. I love the fact that Canna is perennial, comes back year after year, especially if you're in the conditions that are above zone 6. But I love this as a beautiful perennial. It's a beautiful plant, tall and folkular in your garden. And here's a magnificent floral display. Moulin Rouge, focusing in on that beautiful vibrant red, dark burgundies with hints of black. So inside of the floral art display, some of these artworks do jump out at me much more than the others, and this is the second prize winning. I love the fact that they use a lot of complementary colors, but then contrasted with a very faint lilac purple rose tucked in amongst all the beautiful creamy gold and burgundy bronzy colored flowers. And this is a color combination and plant combination I don't see very often. A thistle or artichoke with pine. And I don't see pine used as a foliage plant very often at all, but sea thistle, larger thistle, and pine trees. Magnificent. Of all the displays here, this is the most eye-catching. It uses daffodil blooms, large blooms of those wispy things that typically float away in the wind, but they're not flowing away here. Thistle in there, sea thistle, magnificent. Beautiful colorations. It's very different. It's not something you see every day, and most people would look right past it, but to me, this is absolutely stunning. And I'm not surprised that this is the first prize winning. The judges said, very many congratulations on an enticing design and incredible use of texture. Very well done. This is a magnificent display. If orange were the color, and it is, this is a magnificent complementary color where I see multiple flowers, dahlia, roses, all these blooms, and even dried foliage from what appears to be pine or cedar, all blending in to make this magnificent orange, beautiful display, which is the second prize winning here. So this is our walkthrough of the RHS Wisley show. I hope you liked it. I really enjoyed it. It's such a fun experience here today. If you like this content, be sure to like and subscribe, follow along. And you know what? I'm going to say it again. Be sure to like, but more importantly, subscribe. I'll keep going to Great Botanical Gardens, and I'd love to have you along with me. Until next time, take care.